Back at home, feeling misunderstood. In between these ears ain't nothing good.
So much good stuff on there. I think there's even some UFC stuff you can get on there too.
Yeah, I think that you can get some UFC merchandise there. And then Colorcast as well. We'll be on Colorcast again this weekend. We moved on to the Sweet 16 of their Caster Showdown.
We were the number one seed in our quadrant, I think.
I think we were the number one seed in the region. So thank you for everybody who tuned in last week. Be sure to tune in again this week because we got Houston and
Buddy Buckets.
Jimmy,
you better know that name, baby.
I'll know Buddy Buckets. I'm the play-by-play guy. I'll know Buddy Buckets. I'll probably say his name a million times. Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color? I don't know.
Orange, obviously.
Yeah, orange. Lots of orange. It's going to be a very unpleasing to the eye game.
Red versus orange, yeah, that will be tough.
Okay, that's Saturday night, and then Sunday morning,
first game, yeah.
Gonzaga versus...
your national champs.
Gonzaga versus Creighton. So, screw you, Josh. Gonzaga's going to win. But now, let's go ahead and get into the UFC, because it's a
damn good card.
It's
not our better card. We have one of the most hyped up fights we've had in a long time.
It's trying to figure out who's going to be the baddest man on the planet. The heavyweight champion is the baddest man on the planet, and we got a
UFC. It's not boxing anymore. It's UFC, unfortunately.
Yeah,
boxing we can have that.
Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, pretty bad dudes.
Pretty bad dudes. Well, that argument will be for another day.
Yeah,
but
I'm a lot higher on boxing than you are.
That's just because the jokes that happen with Jake Paul and Logan Paul. I wish everything else was better. UFC just gives me good product every weekend. It doesn't matter what's going on.
UFC 260. We didn't bring in the medicine man because honestly, I don't.
We've had a lot of bonus episodes.
Yeah. We've recorded 2 podcasts a week for the last 3 weeks, and
we needed to relax a little bit.
Yeah, we needed to relax, and I needed to figure out a way to record 2 for tripping. So we're not doing a bonus episode, but we're still going to give you the same kind of a breakdown. And we picked 5 fights? Yeah, 5 fights from the card that we are interested in this weekend. And also, just a quick mention, be sure to check out Hilo Sports because they're doing the commentary on Colorcast again for this event. I don't know if I'm going to buy the pay-per-view so I can do the...
Well, we are watching the
Oh, yeah, no, I won't be doing the ringside. I'll be...
You won't see Pretty Boy Jimmy in his little skirt on the ringside cam.
Yeah, but here we go. First fight we're going to talk about Abubakar Nurmagomedov.
Say that 10 times fast.
Abubakar Nurmagomedov.
You messed it up the second time, but it's okay. I won't hate you for that.
Okay.
Habib's little brother, right?
Habib's little brother versus Jared Gooden at 170 pounds. I don't think this is his first fight in the UFC. If it is,
I think it might be a second.
Yeah.
Because I think I remember his first fight, Habib being in his corner.
But honestly, do we even have to question a guy from Dagestan anymore?
Or someone with a Nurmagomedov last name?
That too, but even the guys that aren't blood related to Khabib, because in the 259 card there was a guy who just looked like Khabib's little brother, and it wasn't actually his little brother. He dominated the guy he was fighting. So I think that we can't take Dagestan lightly anymore if anybody was. Abubakar's coming in with a 15-3-1 record. It's not like he's a slouch. And he's wrestled bears growing up, guys.
I love that name too.
Abubakar is a pretty
damn fun name too.
Pretty cool name. I don't know what his nickname is, but hopefully it's as cool as the
Eagle. Hopefully it's Booba or something like Boo the Bear. Oh! I just got him a nickname. I hope you picture that up.
Boo the Bear. Benchwarmers tweet at Abubakar Nurmagomedov.
Booba the Bear.
Yeah, Booba the Bear. That's gonna be his.
Oh man, I love that. I just came up with that spot. I love that already. Yeah, I'm picking him 100% because of that. Now.
You're going with Booba the Bear.
Yeah, I'm going Booba.
I'm going with Nurmagomedov because Jared Gooden's a journeyman, and this guy had Khabib beating up on him his entire life. Yeah. This is Khabib's little brother. The little brothers are always the more badass of the two, so this guy...
We can both argue against that, but we can argue against that.
I like to say that I turned my siblings into the badass.
Okay, that's fair.
They still can't come to me. Trust me. Did you listen to the episode I did with Dom on the wrestling tournament? Those stories about me rubbing him across the mat.
Pause on that big time, but
it was a wrestling practice. It was consensual, I promise. But yeah, no, I think that Nurmagomedov is about to announce himself to this welterweight division. He's gonna kick the door down and then spit on everybody as he's.
Yeah, we may see a new contender in the 170-pound division.
Yeah, minus 230 is a pretty big line for him too.
Minus 230, I feel like honestly with the name, it could have been like minus 450. So I don't know what the total odds, or the whole odds on the card is, but I feel like that might be not one of the bigger ones. I feel like with the last name like that should have been one of the bigger odds.
The only bigger favorite is Sugar Sean.
Oh, the Sugar Show. That's right.
Minus 230, but he's minus 230. He's the second highest out of the prelims and the main card. So
that's fair then. I mean, it's a pretty even card.
Yeah, all the other fights, I don't really have a clear cut guy that I think is gonna win.
It's very hard for me to pick against.
Well, except for the co-main event. We'll get to that.
Yeah, but Booba the Bear, I think is going to dominate.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't think people have the wrestling to keep up with either a Booba Bar or a Beam.
A Booba Car.
I'm going to say his name at least 15 different times, Jimmy.
A Booba Bar. A Booba Bear.
A
Boobie Babu.
Boo the Bear is going to dominate, and he's going to wrestle this guy to the ground.
Hey, Boo Boo. Can we get another picnic basket?
I can't believe I can't.
Oh, we're gonna have to start calling Khabib Yogi.
Oh man,
Yogi Bear and Boo. All right, we both have Nurmagomedov winning his 170 pound match. Next fight, first fight on the main card. We're gonna talk about
Milwaukee and Karma Worthy or Kama Worthy.
Kama Worthy. Kama Worthy.
He must be very worthy.
Kama Worthy. Kama Worthy. Are we just supposed to pause?
I don't know. I don't know. Man, this is the all-time name card of all of the UFC.
155 pound matchup. Don't know a whole bunch about these guys, but it seems like they're trying to figure out somebody that they can maybe elevate. Malarkey has a 12-4-0 record, and looking at his past few fights, he's on a 2-fight losing streak, but he was on a finishing streak leading up to that.
Yeah, this is a fight. Get a dartboard and toss it and see where it lands on.
Yeah, I honestly think this is a fight where the UFC is trying to figure out who they're going to keep around, because these two guys both seem like they're more. I mean, if you're on a 2-fight losing streak, the UFC is normally pretty quick to cut guys like that. And then
unless you're Conor McGregor.
Yeah, unless
you make the company millions and millions.
Conor
and millions
McGregor's
of dollars.
part owner at the UFC at this point. So yeah, I don't think he's in any trouble. Worthy's on a 1-fight losing streak, so I think these guys are kind of fighting for their spot in the company, which could mean that it might be the most exciting fight because both these guys have nothing to lose really. But I'm not going to give you any advice as to who to put money on. Plus 110, minus 130, basically even money at that point. Yeah, go ahead, cover your eyes, and let's figure something out.
Yeah, I'm going to go Worthy because the name is cool.
I think I went
you went
with Malarkey. Yeah, so
it's gonna. Like I said, those fights that they have nothing to lose, sometimes are the better ones, right?
Yeah,
100%.
This one just got added to the main card in place of
Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega, which Volkanovski had to cancel or had to remove himself from the card because of COVID tracing in Australia. Yeah, Australia. Yeah. Or no, when he came back, because he had to quarantine himself for 2 weeks here. When he came back to the States, he picked it up, and now he has. Yes, it's a very, very... For people who live in New Zealand, Australia, basically the world's back to normal. Mm-hmm. And I know that quarantine period is just brutal. Because I remember seeing the Dan Hooker stuff about how he had to wait 2 months or in quarantine before he could see his family. And it is very tough as I hit my mic. And Volkanovski now is in a tough situation. So hopefully they're able to get that fight back and they can go back soon.
Yeah, that's interesting too because Malarkey's a New Zealand fighter. So it's interesting... Obviously, America's moving towards different things. We're finally not stagnant anymore, but there are other places that are pretty much back
or back to normal.
So the next fight that they're putting in place of that, Jillian Robertson versus Miranda Maverick. Maverick is 10-2, and Robertson is 9-5. Basically feel like these were two people that they had lying around.
Yeah, I think this was the main event of the undercard originally, I believe, and then they moved them up. But
women's flyweight matchup, so 115.
Women's flyweight division has got some dogs in it too. So,
that's Weili Zhang, right?
Yep. Yeah, they got some dogs in it. So that fight, honestly, don't sleep on it. I think that could be a lot of fun.
No, I think Maverick. They're gonna try and see if she's ready to move up towards the next tier in that division. But yeah, I think. It's going to be, isn't Rose fighting.
Yeah,
Jane
Rose is
again?
fighting Zhang, I think 2-3 weeks.
That's-
That's the first full capacity event UFC's gonna have too.
I thought this was.
No,
They're having just limited.
limited
investment?
fans, but they're having in Jacksonville because that's the card Usman Masvidal's on. I'm sure we'll cover that at the big time.
Oh yeah, I mean if it's Usman, Rev is gonna want to. If we don't let Rev come back when there's a Nigerian fighter on the card. I don't want to know what he's gonna feel about it.
He's gonna come back with vengeance on you.
I'm gonna go with Miranda Maverick in that fight. We didn't have this one down, but since it's on the main card, I'll go with Maverick.
I'll go Maverick as well. 10-2 record. I'll pick the favorite.
Yeah, minus 165 line on her. So obviously look in the props on BetMGM or FanDuel or anything like that. Try and figure out a way that you can make money with her winning. Next fight, bantamweight, Sugar Sean O'Malley.
The Sugar Show, baby. The Sugar Show.
Rainbow-haired warrior coming off of a loss, but it was his first loss in his career. And Thomas Almeida, who, if you remember back just a few years ago, this was a guy in line for a bantamweight title shot. And Cody Garbrandt needed that title shot out of him, and then since then, it has not been pretty for Thomas Almeida.
Not at all.
In his last 5 fights, he is 1-4.
I think this may be a fight where we see Almeida's last fight in the UFC, unfortunately. Because, look, Dana White is all over the Sugar Show. Like, he is all over the hype train.
This is his next Conor McGregor that he wants.
Because Sugar Show was on that first UFC card, I believe, back when it was the first Fight Island. First Fight Island. And he was on that card, and he got lost in the Coco made it or something along those lines. I remember everyone being like, fuck. There goes the hype train, and I'm like, no, this dude will still hype the fuck out of every fight he's in.
Yeah.
So
and I mean, giving him a guy like Thomas Almeida, it's a win-win for the UFC. Because if Almeida can come back and beat Sugar Sean, it's not like you don't have a market in Brazil. It's not like this guy won't be able to come back and maybe start making a run again. But then, if you're not following super close, and then you go, oh, he beat Thomas Almeida, you remember Thomas Almeida from a few years ago when he was a killer. That's looks like a really big
it's
win.
a win-win situation.
If Sugar Sean wins, it's an inflated big win, and then you can maybe start putting him back against the top guys. And then if Almeida wins, everybody knows that the second biggest country for the UFC is Brazil.
Yeah, I mean, look, if Sugar Show wins, he'll have some stupid call out. He'll call out probably someone just
Jake
weird.
Paul.
He'll because he's known for that. Because 135 that's Cody Garbrandt too, isn't it?
Yep.
So he'll probably do something stupid along those lines.
Cody Garbrandt would put an end to the Sugar Show very quickly.
I'd love that. That'd be a good fight. Like TV wise, ratings.
Yeah, ratings wise, yes.
The marketing side of me comes in.
Yeah.
Like that's a hell of a rating show.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking about it skill wise.
Skill wise, probably not.
No, Cody's a bad man.
Cody's a bad man.
Cody, people like to talk about Cody losing the last few fights. Yeah.
Well, go back and watch Cody's last fight.
Well, yeah.
Because that knockout off the cage.
That was insane. But then also the fights that he lost against T.J. Dillashaw. T.J. Dillashaw was on enough EPO to kill Lance Armstrong.
Hey, he didn't test positive when he beat him. He tested positive when he beat Cejudo. So give him the benefit of the doubt. A dude's a Colorado fighter.
I'm not claiming him. He's a Southern California guy. And if you're gonna do steroids, do something cool. Don't do EPO. Don't do the cycling steroid.
Now we're in the argument of which steroids are cool. I don't think any steroids are cool.
Do the one that Jose Canseco did, where you get the forearms that look like tree trunks.
That'd be interesting in the 135-pound division. Imagine that.
Yeah.
just massive forearms.
TJ Popeye Dillashaw. All right. Let's move on. Co-main event: Tyron Woodley, SoundCloud rapper extraordinaire.
That's cold, Jimmy. SoundCloud. I mean, that's what he's known for nowadays. That's also cold. I'm sorry, Tyron.
Yeah, I'm not sorry, Tyron. And your songs aren't that good. I'm not even going to give you the benefit of playing them on the podcast because it's just not good. Against Vicente Luque, Brazilian guy.
I believe Luque is next hype train. UFC's trying to get on, right?
I think so.
Kind of.
I remember hearing his name a few times. But
I remember because all I've seen out of this upcoming weekend is like all the Luque and Ngannou hype train. Everybody's trying to hype them up.
Yeah, there's 3 pretty big hype trains that the UFC put on.
Sugar Show, Luque, and then Ngannou.
Yeah, I like Luque. His last loss was not. It was 2 fights ago, and it was against Stephen Thompson, who. Honestly,
the picture for the title.
Yeah, Wonder Boy's still top 3. Maybe, I don't know, top 3. Definitely a top 5 welterweight in the world. And it just comes down to matchups for Wonderboy. Him versus Woodley is not a good matchup, especially when Woodley is just going to sit there and not do anything. But Stephen Thompson's still a top guy at 170, so I'm not going to dock Luque for that. Honestly, it comes down to the fact that I don't believe in Tyron Woodley right now.
I don't think anyone does.
No.
I don't think the UFC does.
No, Tyron Woodley has not been the same. Kamaru Usman did something to him. It wasn't pretty. Like, stole his soul and has not given it back. And then he's just been dominated. Like Gilbert Burns. It was a unanimous decision. That was
He took him 5 rounds, just dominated.
It was not.
The score was 5-0 on the rounds, I'm pretty sure.
Gilbert Burns earned his title shot off of how badly he beat Tyron Woodley.
Yes.
And then Colby Covington KO'd him, so it's not good for Tyron.
Woodley is just all downhill.
It's been he's been in a little bit too long. He probably should have got out of it after the Usman fight.
I think he needs to go towards either along the side of commentating, because I think he has a little bit of background on that, or I know he's a recurring guest on the Rogan podcast, so I think he could get into this business as well. Because I mean, he was a good fighter at one point.
Yeah,
he was, but right now, I think this may be the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
Or we could see him go to one championship, or whatever, one championship. I don't know.
Whatever. I think it's one FC.
Yeah, one FC.
I mean, the sad thing is, and this is why it's a little bit difficult to try and start talking about Bellator champions. You could probably go to Bellator and be fairly competitive, maybe win the title, just because Bellator is good. Bellator is definitely in a lot better place than it was. But Bellator.
Bellator had the likes of Mike Chandler.
Yeah, I think that you can talk about a handful of Bellator guys that could be competitive in the UFC, but mainly everybody in the UFC can be pretty competitive in Bellator.
The guys that aren't ranked in the UFC can contend in the Bellator.
Yeah, talk about Phil Davis. Phil Davis could never make it to a title shot in the UFC. Goes to Bellator and is one of the longest reigning light heavyweight champions. So there is a little bit of a difference, but I think this is the last time we see Tyron Woodley fight in the UFC. And then I agree, he has been on commentary. He's been doing a lot. He had that show on BET. That's the other thing. He started really sucking
when he started doing more.
Yeah,
stuff
when he got
fighting.
famous as the champion and started rapping. He's like, oh, I can be a rapper. I can be on this TV show. I can be on all these podcasts.
Yeah, because Woodley, when he wasn't doing all this,
he's a killer.
Was a killer, one of the best wrestlers, and then one of the deadliest right hands the UFC had.
Oh, especially after what Koscheck did with the fake illegal knee. Seeing him get knocked out by Woodley is still one of the most satisfying highlights.
Coming from a big Koscheck guy at one point.
Oh, I was the biggest Koscheck guy at one point. But yeah, no, not great. I also used to be a big Johnny Hendricks guy. Definitely not.
They are probably the easiest.
Yeah,
matchup. They were quote unquote easiest matchup, but
they were set up pretty good to run through their region. I don't know. I think that they're still. I don't think that if they make it to the Elite Eight or play against Baylor, they're not going to beat the top teams in the tournament that are left. I see them struggling pretty hard with the Pac-12 teams that are still left in it too.
Oh, so you have them losing to Oral Roberts, is what you're saying?
No,
you sure about that?
I had them losing in this round, but it was to
Ohio State.
Yeah, probably. Somebody. I think I had Ohio State in my Elite Eight, unfortunately. But yeah, so I don't think that they're going to be the representative out of this bracket, but I do think that they had
a chance to go to the Elite Eight and Oral Roberts.
They do. They're going to be.
I'll be honest with you. I'm all over the Oral Roberts hype train.
Arkansas screwed up two pretty cool things, because if they would have lost to Colgate, and if Colgate could have beat Texas Tech, we would have had the Oral Roberts
Colgate matchup. That would have been as perfect as it gets.
The dentist, every single toothpaste brand would be rushing to buy ad space during that game. They just 9 out of 10 dentists recommend watching the Oral Roberts Colgate game. That's what that.
The memes would have been endless.
Yeah, Twitter would have exploded. Twitter would have shut down. That's what would have happened. Okay, this is the final tweet that we can have. The Oral Roberts Colgate game. Been a nice 10 years, everybody. We'll see you guys when we develop the next app. All right. Out of the South region, who do you have the most faith in?
I mean, look, I want to pick Baylor, but I don't have faith in Baylor because the Big 12 has been struggling too. The Big 12 also only have one representative left. They've been struggling as well. So that's where I'm a little cautious behind them. But it's hard for me to pick against them. Villanova has been playing well, and A lot of people.
Villanova's got the pedigree too.
Yeah, I think Villanova can give them run for the money. Like I said, like I said in our bonus episode, when it comes to late March, you either got the team that has some experience or you have the team that is coached the right way. And Jay Wright is probably one of the better coaches up there with Mark Few of Gonzaga left in this tournament. Mm-hmm. And Jay Wright knows what it takes to possibly get to the next level and get his team to the Final Four. So that's why I think it's going to be Baylor or Villanova, because I think the winner, like similar to the Michigan-Florida State matchup, I think the Final Four winner out of this bracket will be Baylor or Villanova.
Yeah, so we got to go over all the dumb picks that we had before the tournament started. There's a lot of them this year.
Do us a favor, go back, listen to that episode, and then text us while you're listening to it and be like, wow, you're an idiot. Wow, you're an idiot. Nico, what the fuck were you thinking?
Nico, you let Jeremy talk you into Ohio State.
Why did you have why did you have Illinois as your national champion, Nico? What are you thinking? And I'm like, you know what? I don't have an answer for you, honestly. I don't.
Yeah.
I just don't. Other than it's just madness.
Okay. I don't have an answer. Okay. Yeah, I've been watching way too much Lethal Weapon because I went into Lethal Gets there. All right, let's quickly get to most dominant team of the week before we get into the break. I'll start off this one. My most dominant team of the week is Penn State Wrestling. I know I was talking a lot about the wrestling tournament, and I wrote a couple blogs. Just to put this in perspective, this was a down year, quote unquote, for Penn State Wrestling. They only had, which the program has won 8 of the last 9 national tournaments as a team. They put 4 wrestlers into the national championship match and won all 4. And they were the second best team comfortably. And if they would have, I think, qualified one more person, they probably would have pushed Iowa for the team title. So, yeah, they were down. But I would love to have a down year where I still get 4 individual national champions and a runner-up team trophy.
That's not half bad.
That's really not that bad.
That's not bad at all.
So, yeah, Penn State Wrestling, my most dominant team of the week.
Yeah, for my most dominant team of the week, man, I'm going to have fun with this one. It's Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts, my most dominant team of the week. You go in, shock the world, beat Ohio State, and then you come in and smack Florida. Florida was up on you, and then you rolled back and came in and popped them in the mouth, and now a 15th seed in the Sweet 16. I'm going to pick Oral Roberts because of the fun story they are. And Max Asmus, not Abmas, Asmus. So it's a silent B. I don't know how that
There's
works.
so many.
It's so weird.
Coburn and
yeah, Coburn, but spelled like the other way. Cockburn, yeah. So
I had to say it. Sorry.
Yeah,
that's the inappropriate teenager in me.
Yeah, but Max Asmus and Oral Roberts are my most dominant team of the week because, like I said, it's so much fun watching these programs do this.
Yeah, it's a lot. I had the historical dominance. You had the recent dominance. But now let's go ahead and listen to a couple messages from our partners at the far end of the bench.
Also a big Johnny Henry guy, unfortunately.
You know,
after the GSP fight, after he lost the GSP fight, quote unquote, and then he won the title and that whole shit show. And
his fights with Robbie Lawler were pretty interesting. I think my favorite Johnny Hemorrhage moment, if we're going to talk about big rig moments, is him knocking John Fitch across the octagon.
Okay, yeah, I do remember that.
That was one of the biggest knockouts, especially at 170 pounds. It's one of the biggest knockouts.
Yeah, you don't like to remember the every other fight after that where he didn't make weight by 20 pounds. We don't remember those.
No, Big Rig definitely started standing for plus 200 after a while.
This is very true. For me, I'm gonna go Woodley here, because you know what? I thought why not? Because everyone's counting out Woodley and.
Does that have anything to do with plus 210?
Yeah, plus 210 odds. I'll probably pick this fight to the distance because I think Woodley will sit on him. Mm-hmm. But that's why I'm in the place like I think Woodley might go to the ground on him and make it a 5 or 3-round fight. So that's where I think Woodley will win this fight.
I will say
it's not the most intriguing co-main event we'll ever see. I'll tell you that.
No, it wasn't supposed to be co-main event. Like we said, the other fight that was slated, and that would have been I think Volkanovski Ortega would have been a very good fight. I just don't know enough about Luque's style. I know enough about Woodley's style. I know how he's going to go at it. I do know that he's not as good at it as he used to be, so that's why I'm hesitant with him. I just don't know enough about Luque's style to be able to say one way or another how he's going to go about it, but I do think that he's going to win because I lost all faith in Tyron Woodley after the last couple fights. Now let's get to the fun part.
The big main event.
Did you watch the first fight live?
I did not know.
This is one of the only UFC events that I watched live in college, and I remember because we were in a suite and it was across the hall had bought it, and it was all guys on the football team. So we had to start locking our doors because they were the kind of across the hall neighbors that just felt like it was always time to come in.
Oh no,
There was a couple of times where I had them come in at 2 a.m. and then I just started locking my
Oh, there was times where like we in my sophomore year of college was when Floyd and Connor fought, and we were all watching it in our boys' place. We all chipped in a little bit of money because we didn't want to legally stream it. I know Dana White loves me for saying that, but we didn't want to legally stream it. So we had to keep the door open. We had X amount of people in the room. I don't know why that was a rule. Don't come at me about that. That's just the GC rules. And so we closed the door because people were sitting outside our door watching the fight from the hall. And we were like, you know what, I'm sorry. If you guys want to pay, you can walk in, but if not, we're closing the door. We closed the door.
Damn. No, that was harsh.
It's a cold world, man. If you don't pay, you ain't gonna watch.
I'm pretty sure Rev illegally streamed the first Stipe and Ngannou fight.
I'm pretty sure there's still thousands of people that are gonna legally stream this fight.
No, I'm pretty sure that's how we got to watch that one, and it was not what I was expecting. I was full aboard the Ngannou hype train.
Are you still there?
Honestly, it's different. I'll say this. After he fixed himself or whatever was wrong with him after that Derek Lewis fight, I've been very impressed with what Ngannou's been able to do.
Yeah, his last fight he came out just roaring.
Yeah.
He came out swinging and hungry.
I really do think that loss to Stipe in the long run helped Ngannou because for the longest time, all he needed to do was just land one of those shovels that he calls fists, and that was going to be it.
Shovel is to put it lightly.
Well, I call it a shovel because he got that big being working in the sand diamonds or the sand mines in Cameroon. I think he realized I don't want to just be a puncher. I want to be an actual fighter. So I think that he started taking everything more legit, and he started actually working, and he got himself. I think he looks like a totally different fighter than the guy who fought Stipe the first time.
Yeah, I think he's gonna come in swinging. There's no doubt about it. That first fight, I think it was more of a I'm here, I'm finally here. Like, I can kind of lay back, and now he was being safe. Now he's realizing, you know what, I can dominate everyone in this division. Now I want to come out swinging.
Well, that was also, I think, Stipe, I don't know how, but Stipe ate some big shots in that fight.
Stipe can eat punches like no other. Like
I don't know how some of those, like, and I even saw, you can kind of see it if you go back and watch the first fight.
If you look at the slow-mos are hilarious, too, because there's a whole, like, face just...
Oh, these are big shots, but I recommend going back and watching the first fight. And there's a couple punches that Ngannou lands that hurt Stipe, but these are punches that would put out a normal man in any situation. Even most of the heavyweight division, if you want to talk about it that way. Stipe is in a different class when it comes to even the top heavyweights, and you could see on Ngannou's face just go, "Oh shit,
this guy."
That is everything that I have. That is all of the power that I have to put into a punch, and he just ate that and kept coming at me, and now he's going to wrestle me?
Stipe
I don't know if I want to do this.
Stipe is just built different.
Stipe is a dog.
He is...
I'll claim Stipe as a Colorado guy before I claim Dillashank.
I think I can firmly say this after this fight, especially, because I think Stipe wins. I'll talk about that a little bit. I think he is the greatest UFC heavyweight of all time. Because, look, what he's been able to do this division... go through every single dog this division has ever had and dominate for so long. I think Stipe is going to go down as one of the greats. I think he's already there.
There's an argument to be made that he can be, he can be put into the Hall of Fame while he's still an active fighter. That's something, he has the resume. Let's just go back. The last time that he didn't fight for a title was January of 2016. That was against Andrei Arlovski, and he knocked him out in the first round. Everybody knows Andrei Arlovski if you're a big UFC fan. The Pitbull, he's still fun to watch because now all he does is come in and swing, and he shouldn't be fighting anymore. Yeah. But that was a good win. And then he beats Fabricio Verdum for the title, which at that time people were talking about Verdum as the greatest heavyweight of all time. Only guy to beat Fedor, and then came in and beat Cain Velasquez and dominated him in Mexico City. After that, it's all title fights. And then he beats Alistair Overeem, knocks him out in the first round. Beats Junior Dos Santos, knocks him out in the first round. Beats Ngannou in a 5-round unanimous decision, eating these massive just missiles coming from Francis Ngannou, and beats him in a 5-round unanimous decision. has the hiccup against DC, but you can argue DC is one of the top UFC heavyweights of all time.
DC is one of the top light heavyweights, heavyweights of all time. He only lost basically 2 men his whole career.
Yeah, and then comes back, beats DC in the 2 matches following. So I totally agree. I think Stipe is the greatest. I think he's the greatest heavyweight in the sport of all time. I think that.
Yeah, UFC all time 100%. I mean, like.
I think you can put him up against anybody in pride.
Well, when I say greatest in the UFC ever, that basically trumps it all.
Yeah.
Like, that basically puts him above everyone else. When it comes to greatest heavyweight fighter of all time, I don't think he's up there yet. I think it's very tough to have him be over the Mike Tysons or the Muhammad Ali's, but that's just different.
He doesn't have the same legend status as Mike Tyson, but I think that he's probably just more successful than Tyson was. But I agree with Muhammad because just Ali did so many things outside of the ring too. He's always going to be the greatest because he was the best in and out.
That's just facts. But yeah,
the only thing that worries me with Stipe is those shots that he took and then getting knocked out by DC.
It was rib shots too. I believe, because I remember DC hit him with some kidney shots or hit him with some jabs down or in the stomach area that kind of rocked him. But look, Ngannou's going to swing at head.
Yeah,
he's going to do what Thor did in Avengers Endgame. The spoiler alert: go for the head.
I'm just thinking it's a Stipe who's now had 2 extra years of fighting since the last time he fought Ngannou and took those punches, and those punches had to take a toll on him at some point. How much longer can his chin hold up? And is his chin going to be able to hold up to Francis the second time? I think it is. I pick Stipe to win. I don't know.
I think so too. I just look because I want Stipe to win this, and then I want Stipe to beat John, and then I want him to retire. Yeah. So I think at that point he's done it all. I think at that point
he's possibly in the conversation of greatest combat sports athlete of all time. And that includes Olympic wrestling. That includes a lot of things. And I think that if that's the way he ends his career, beating Francis twice,
beating Francis twice, and then going through John, I think that's as good as it gets. We get that, and then after that, once he retires, we get John versus Ngannou.
Yeah.
And that also, we're going to be fireworks. Because look, then the UFC is set in the heavyweight division. Because you can have Ngannou be your heavyweight of the future, or you can have John Jones be now listed as a double champ too. So it's a win-win. I think Stipe carrying on the legacy. I'm going to go with Stipe as well because I love everything that Stipe does. And I think he's just going to be a damn good fighter for so much longer.
There you go. That's our UFC 260 breakdown, so be sure to check that out. It'll be one of our clips on the YouTube channel if you're listening to this on the Unhinged Sports Network. So be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Far End of the Bench, and ring the notification bell so you can keep up with the clips and everything going.